I invite you to close your eyes for a moment, though keep your mind wide open to the journey we are about to embark upon. Listen to the quiet hum of your own existence. Beneath that hum, if you listen closely, you might hear the subtle, persistent echoes of yesterday. We all carry them. They are the ghosts of conversations long finished, the phantoms of choices we wish we could unmake, and the lingering shadows of past hurts that still whisper in the corridors of our minds. I want to ask you a question, and I want you to feel the answer in your bones. How heavy is the invisible baggage you are carrying right now? You see, the human mind is a masterful architect, but it often builds labyrinths instead of sanctuaries. We construct elaborate mental museums dedicated entirely to our past. We wander through these halls, or gazing at exhibits of our own regrets, meticulously dusting off old resentments and polishing our sorrows until they shine with a painful clarity. In the realm of psychology, particularly through the lens of Carl Jung, we understand that these unreleased echoes form a significant part of our shadow, the repressed, unacknowledged aspects of our psyche that secretly direct our lives while we call it fate. We cling to these memories because, paradoxically, they give us a false sense of identity. We deeply believe that if we let go of the pain, we might lose a fundamental part of who we are. But I am here to tell you that this is the ego's most elaborate deception. The past is a sculptor that has shaped your current form, but it is not the clay from which your future must be molded. Imagine walking through a dense, ancient forest. With every step, you pick up a stone that represents a past grievance, a lost love, a failed endeavor. You carefully place these stones in a woven basket strapped to your back. At first, the weight is manageable, almost comforting in its familiarity. But as miles turn into years, the burden becomes agonizing. Your posture bends, your gaze drops to the dirt, and you can no longer see the sunlight filtering through the magnificent canopy above. You are so consumed by the weight of what you have collected that you become completely blind to the beauty of the present landscape. The neuroscience of memory tells us that every time we recall a painful event, our brain does not merely remember it. It chemically and emotionally re-experiences it. The amygdala, the brain's alarm system, so it does not know the difference between a threat happening right now and a memory of a threat from 10 years ago. We are, quite literally, poisoning our present biology with the expired toxins of our history. The gentle art of releasing is not a forceful eviction of these memories, but rather a compassionate unburdening. It is the realization that the stones are not yours to carry forever. They belong to the earth of the past. Today, I invite you to stop walking, take a deep breath, and gently lower that basket to the ground. Let us explore what it truly means to unburden the soul. Letting go is often misunderstood as a passive act of surrender, a sign of weakness or defeat. But in truth, it is the most profound act of courage a human being can undertake. It requires us to look directly into the eyes of our deepest fears and say, "You no longer have dominion over my present." It is a radical reclamation of your own narrative. Think of the ancient Greek myth of the Minotaur. We often build the labyrinth of our past to hide our pain, but we end up trapping ourselves inside with the monster of our own regrets. We become both the architect of the prison and the prisoner. But you hold the thread of Ariadne in your hands right now. That thread is your conscious awareness, your ability to witness your own mind without becoming entangled in it. By choosing to step back and observe the echoes rather than identify with them, you begin to follow the thread out of the darkness and into the gorgeous light of the present moment. Let us venture deeper into the anatomy of our suffering. Why do we hold on with such desperate, white-knuckled grips to things that actively cause us pain? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus observed that people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. Our suffering is rarely a direct product of the past event itself. Rather, it is the byproduct of our continuous, exhausting resistance to the fact that it happened. We suffer because we demand that the universe retroactively conform to our desires. We negotiate with ghosts. We play out alternate scenarios in the theater of our minds, hoping that if we just analyze the past enough, we can somehow change its immutable reality. This is the phenomenon of rumination, a vicious psychological loop where the mind chews on its own wounds, preventing them from ever forming a protective scar. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, wrote in his Meditations that the universe is change, and our life is what our thoughts make it. When we obsess over yesterday, we are fighting a war against time itself, a war we are guaranteed to lose. I want you to consider the illusion of control. The ego thrives on the arrogant belief that it can manage and manipulate outcomes. When an event occurs that shatters this illusion, a sudden loss, a shocking betrayal, a crushing failure, the ego panics. To compensate for this terrifying loss of control, it fixates intensely on the memory. It tricks us into believing that holding on to the pain is a way of holding on to the person, the situation, or the lesson. We treat our suffering as a sacred monument to our love or our righteousness. But ask yourself, does the river suffer when it encounters a massive boulder? No. It does not pause to argue with the stone, nor does it attempt to push it upstream. It simply accepts the obstacle's presence, flows effortlessly around it, and continues its beautiful journey toward the ocean. We, however, are like water that freezes itself in protest of the boulder, halting our own natural evolution. Think of the ancient Zen parable of two monks, Tanzen and Aikido, who come across a muddy, treacherous river. On the bank stands a beautiful woman in fine silk clothes, unable to cross without ruining her garments. Tanzen wordlessly picks her up, carries her across the water, sets her safely down, and continues walking. Hours later, Aikido, seething with internal conflict, finally erupts. We monks are not supposed to go near females, especially not young and lovely ones. It is dangerous. Why did you do that? Tanzen looks at him with profound, unwavering serenity and replies, I left the girl there. Are you still carrying her? You and I must look closely at who or what we are still carrying in our own minds. What heavy, decaying burdens are we lugging across the beautiful plains of our current existence? The pain you feel is simply the friction between what is and what you desperately believe should have been. It is a profound tragedy that we sacrifice the only thing we actually possess, the vibrant, breathing, miraculous present moment, on the altar of a past that no longer exists anywhere in the cosmos. To hold on to the past is to drink poison every morning and expect the past to slowly die. It is time, my friend, to meticulously examine the cup you are holding in your hands. Now, when we arrive at the threshold of a profound paradigm shift, here is the twist that can unravel the tightest knots of your inner world. Yesterday is an absolute illusion. It possesses no geographical coordinates in the physical universe. You cannot travel to it, you cannot touch it, and you cannot alter a single grain of its sand. In the profound teachings of Buddhist philosophy, there is the concept of anicca, the fundamental impermanence of all things. everything is in a state of continuous flux, arising and passing away in the blink of an eye. The person you were yesterday is already dead. The world you inhabited yesterday has completely dissolved. Where, then, does the past reside? It exists nowhere but within the delicate electrical firing of synapses in your brain, right at this exact microsecond. The past is merely a thought happening in the present. This realization is earth-shattering if you truly let it permeate your consciousness. The heavy, monolithic past that you believe is weighing you down is actually as light as a feather, because it is made of nothing but pure, ephemeral thought. We are often terrified of letting go because we mistakenly equate letting go with forgetting. We fear that if we release the memory of a loved one, we lose them entirely. We fear that if we release the memory of a deep trauma, we become vulnerable to it, happening all over again. But letting go is not amnesia. It is not the erasure of data from your hard drive. The beautiful twist is that letting go, simply changing your relationship with the memory, it is shifting your role from a captive hostage to a sovereign observer. Imagine your mind as a vast, boundless sky, and your memories as clouds. Some clouds are white, wispy, and fluffy. Others are dark, turbulent, violent thunderheads. For years, you have been trying to physically grasp these storm clouds, wrestling with them, getting soaked in their freezing rain, and being struck by their terrifying lightning. You have mistakenly believed that you are the storm, but you are not the storm. You are the sky. The sky is completely unaffected by the weather it contains. It provides the infinite space for the storm to exist, but it is never damaged, scarred, or broken by it. When you realize you are the expansive, eternal sky, you no longer need to fight the clouds of yesterday. You can watch them drift into your awareness, acknowledge their temporary presence without judgment, and simply let them drift away on the winds of time. You do not have to banish the echoes of yesterday. You only need to stop answering their desperate calls. In the realm of neuroplasticity, we know that neurons that fire together wire together. By refusing to engage emotionally with the echo, you literally starve the neurological pathway of its power. The moment you recognize the past as a mere mental projection occurring exclusively in the present, the illusion loses its gravitational pull. The heavy iron chains dissolve into thin air, not because you broke them with immense, exhausting physical effort, but because you suddenly realize they were made of smoke all along. How then do we practice this gentle art in the theater of reality? How do we translate this profound, philosophical insight into the messy, chaotic, yet beating reality of our daily lives? It begins with the mechanics of radical acceptance. Radical acceptance is not passive resignation. It is not giving up or waving a white flag to defeat. Rather, it is a fierce, courageous confrontation with reality exactly as it is, stripped of all our emotional demands, delusions, and expectations. It is the ultimate act of psychological maturity. When an echo of yesterday reverberates in your mind, a sudden, sharp pang of regret, a flare of old, unextinguished anger, your instinctual, biological reaction is to flinch, to suppress it, to bury it, or to immediately distract yourself with the noise of the modern world. I invite you to do the exact opposite. Lean into it. Become intensely, compassionately curious about it. In Jungian psychology, the lifelong process of individuation requires us to consciously integrate our shadow, to sit down at the table with our demons and calmly ask them what they need. When the emotional pain arises, observe it as a brilliant scientist observes a fascinating, unprecedented phenomenon. Where do you physically feel it in your body? Is there a tightening grip in your chest? A sudden shallowness in your breath? A knot in your stomach? Notice it without applying a dramatic narrative. The true suffering is not located in the physical sensation itself. The suffering is entirely generated by the tragic story you incessantly tell yourself about the sensation. Separate the raw, kinetic emotion from the story. Breathe deeply into the tight space. This is the ancient alchemy of awareness. By shining the warm, non-judgmental light of your conscious attention onto the pain, you rob it of its dark, shadowy power. Consider the profound Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is lovingly mended with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The philosophy behind kintsugi is that the breakage and the repair are not something to disguise, but an integral, beautiful part of the history of the object. Your scars are not flaws. They are golden seams of profound wisdom. Think of the quiet wisdom of the autumn tree. As the air turns crisp and the days grow shorter, the ancient tree does not panic. It does not fiercely hoard its leaves, trembling at the terrifying thought of the coming winter darkness. It knows that to hold on to the dead leaves would be a fatal, unsustainable expenditure of energy. Instead, it slowly, unintentionally withdraws its life-giving sap, severs the microscopic connections, and allows the vibrant leaves to fall to the earth with profound, breathtaking grace. The tree understands a fundamental, unshakable truth of the universe. Letting go is the absolute prerequisite for new growth. It trusts the eternal cycle. It trusts the bare, empty branches. It trusts the eventual, triumphant return of spring. You, too, must learn to intimately trust your own seasons. Releasing the echoes of yesterday is an act of deep, unshakable faith in your own inherent resilience. It is a powerful acknowledgement that you are vast enough to contain the infinite void left by what you have lost, and fertile enough to bloom once more. Every single time you consciously choose to return your wandering mind to the present moment, to focus on the sensation of cool air filling your lungs, the intricate texture of the object in your hand, the symphony of ambient sound swirling around you, you are deliberately severing the energetic cord to the past. You are gently, persistently, and lovingly bringing yourself back home. And so, step by step, breath by breath, we finally arrive at the sacred sanctuary of the present, the vast, empty, luminous room of the now. Step across this threshold with me. Here, in this infinitesimal, razor-thin sliver of time, suspended between what was and what will be, you are completely, undeniably safe. In this precise, shimmering moment, there are absolutely no regrets to carry on your back, no historical mistakes to frantically undo, no catastrophic future scenarios to anxiously prevent. There is only the miraculous, pulsating, though undeniable reality of your own being. This is where true, unadulterated liberation resides. It is not found in exhaustively resolving every past conflict or perfectly curating your nostalgic memories into a flawless museum. It is found in the quiet, absolute surrender to what is. The ancient Stoics passionately embraced a concept called amor fati, the fierce and uncompromising love of one's fate. Friedrich Nietzsche later described amor fati as the ultimate formula for human greatness. It is not merely tolerating or enduring the difficult events of your life with gritted teeth, but enthusiastically, joyfully embracing them. It means loving the triumphs and the devastating tragedies alike, recognizing them as absolutely necessary, indispensable brushstrokes in the unfolding masterpiece of your existence. Every echo, every bitter tear, Every joyous, unrestrained laugh has conspired to bring you exactly to this precise intersection of time and space. To reject your past is to fundamentally reject your current self. To accept it, fully, radically, and unconditionally, is to instantly reclaim your psychological sovereignty. Imagine standing alone on a quiet, pristine shore at the very break of dawn. The vast ocean is perfectly still, like a mirror, reflecting the soft, ethereal golden and lavender hues of the rising sun. A gentle, rhythmic breeze sweeps across the glassy water, carrying with it the faint, fading, nocturnal sounds of the retreating night. You take a deep, incredibly slow breath, tasting the ancient salt and the absolute raw freshness of the new morning. You look down at your open hands and suddenly realize they are completely empty. The heavy, the jagged stones are gone. The gripping, exhausting tension in your shoulders has melted downward, absorbed by the forgiving earth beneath your feet. You are entirely here. You are entirely now. The past is a beautiful, deeply tragic, perfectly finished story, and the heavy book is gently, finally closed, resting securely on a high shelf in the vast library of your heart. You do not need to obsessively read it every single day to know that it is fundamentally a part of who you are. As we conclude this intimate journey together, I want you to carry this profound, unshakable stillness forward into your days. Let the fading echoes of yesterday dissolve into the vast, silent, majestic cathedral of your inner wisdom. When those echoes occasionally return to visit, and they inevitably will, for you are a beautifully or wonderfully complex human being, greet them at the door like old, weary travelers. Give them a brief moment of rest, offer them a warm cup of tea, but do absolutely not invite them to live permanently in your house. Your house belongs entirely to the present moment. Your soul belongs irrevocably to the brilliant light of today. May your mind always remain as expansive and untouchable as the clear sky. Your heart as resilient and trusting as the letting go autumn tree, and your life's path illuminated by the gentle, unwavering, transformative power of radical acceptance. Breathe in the dawn, my friend. You are, at long last, truly and completely free.